Welcome back to Technical channel. This video is very important and this is the third part of this Java mini series which is highlight of the series. In this video, I am going to walk you through the interesting features from Java 17 till Java 8 in reverse order. Generally, in Java, every release, the features are categorized in three types, either new features, removed features, or deprecated feature for future removal. There were a lot of features released from Java 8 till Java 17. It is not possible to cover everything in one video. However, I have cherry picked notably very important development productivity features. Let's dive into coding. Let us start with Java 17 feature, sealed classes. What is a sealed class? A class which restricts its subclass by permitting the classes. So in this way, the inheritance hierarchy will be maintained and also the entire hierarchy will be known at compile time. Let us take an example by creating a class. Okay, let's go ahead and create a class. I'll go ahead and create a new Java class called sealed class demo. Okay, so it's a public class. So in order to make this example, I'm going to create a AI engine as a sealed class, and I'm going to create compute, that's compute as an algorithm uh, to restrict those compute algorithm to specific two subclasses. Okay, let's go ahead and create say abstract. The keyword is sealed class AI engine and AI engine. Let me show you how it's because if you look at here, sealed class must have subclass. Ideally, the syntax, the next part is permits, right? Say permits. So I would like to have this AI engine will be extended only by vision and audio. So there may be a text and other features, but I don't want to give feature for that. So right now I'm going to restrict this AI engine only for vision and audio. Okay, permits vision audio. So what is abstract method? Say abstract. I'm not returning anything, just compute. Sealed class definition, right? Okay, now let's go ahead and extend this class. Okay, so when you are doing extending class, there are three ways you can extend the sealed class. The subclass should be final or either sealed or non-sealed. The difference between final and sealed: final cannot be extended further. When you sealed it, again it has to be subclassed or with a permitted class, and non-sealed can be subclassed with any other class. So those are three possible values. Let's go ahead and implement this. We'll extend with vision. Okay, I'll say class vision extends a engine, and I'll say void say compute. Void compute. Say this is vision compute in progress. Okay, so already the IntelliJ one is indicating there is an error. Sealed class can be only sealed, non-sealed, or final. So here the option what I wanted is I want to make this as a final. Okay, so still this one audio is there, not implemented. Let's go ahead and implement that also. This I wanted to have a class audio extends a engine and void compute short. That's your system.out.println audio compute in progress. Let's put that. Okay, this I'll make it as a non-sealed, that is a keyword. We are good. Okay, so let's make this as a sealed. Let's go ahead and create object of this and execute this. Say what I want. Say let's say vision v1 equal to new vision. Okay, v1 dot it's because of your public. Let's go ahead and say v1 dot what is the issue now? Okay, got it. Let's it should be inside the main method. Vision v1 equal to new vision v1 dot compute and audio a1 equal to new audio a1 dot compute. Let's run this. Okay, so you can see the output. So this is about sealed class. Let us see the next feature. Okay, next feature of Java 17 is switch expression. It's will combine enhanced switch as well switch expression. So in order to demonstrate this feature, let's create a new class called say Java features rundown. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Java features rundown. Okay, very important. Add static void main. So before we go to the new enhanced switch, let's take a look at the old switch which I covered as part of the previous video part 2. Let's copy that. It's from EMP. Okay, JDK 17 switch. This is the old style. I'll say okay. So the old style consists of label and your break statement and default. So how do we write this in the new way? Okay, we'll do same thing. Let's start writing this. Switch age case, say 25, and one is first will say 25. Okay, then the label has been removed with the right side with arrow pointer, right? Then we'll say same thing, say engage. Okay, and then say 35. So instead of colon you use this one. This is the other way around. Middle age age and default uncategorized. Okay, so this is the new way. Let's run this first. So it's compiling, guys. So it should be able to, yeah, it says the old style engage and the new one is here. New style. Okay, after new style, whatever you see. So one scenario here is like, how do I add one more value? For example, up to 35. Say I want to say 30 also young, and also here up to 40, 45. Then here I want to say 50, 55. Okay, there are multiple values in a simplified way. Now here I'll say age, again reinitialize age with 40. Okay, let's run this. Duplicate label, perfect. Fifty-five, 55 and 60. Okay, sorry about that. 60 and 65, that should be the correct one. Yeah, so you get the middle age, you get the young age. Okay, so this is the enhanced switch. However, there is something called switch expression. Okay, let's go ahead and say, how do we do switch expression? I'll say switch expression. Okay, so We combine this along with the yield keyword. That's how we are going to form switch expression. Okay. In order to save the typing, what I do already typed it. Okay. So what essentially I'm doing here is I'm creating a number. I mean the day, Sunday, and the weekdays. I'm trying to print the number of days in the day. Okay. For example, Monday, Friday, Sunday, or 6 days, and the word yield. For example, how does it happen? There's a number of characters within switch I am displaying, as well I am returning the value. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. It takes a couple of seconds and I should see 9. That 9 is nothing but your Wednesday. Okay, this is about switch. Next feature in our list is from JDK 15, text blocks. Okay, let's go ahead and code that. JDK 15 text block. So in order to save the typing time, I've typed, and I'll use that. So traditionally, what do you mean by text block? Okay, so for example, in this case, I wanted to display employee JSON. I just name it as JSON old, because JSON format, if anyone is familiar, you will know how the format of JSON, right? Because to produce that similar one with Java will be as complex as writing something similar to this, because it's a combination of /n/t as well as escape, combination of escape characters. So let's go ahead and display this. That's a emp JSON world. Okay, so imagine you wanted to have some more records like this in JSON. It's going to be a difficult one. So it is there. However, there is a lot of hard work we have to do. So essentially, what a text block does is it tries to maintain the format within whatever the code what you give. For example, now let's go ahead and give it the new format. Okay, string emp JSON, three double quotes, guys. You have to open with three double quotes, and automatically it goes to the next line. You can't start typing here. It's actually compilation error. So it should be, your content should be between these two lines. Okay, let's put this record. Okay, what are some special characters which I see? Let's do this again. Okay, so this is a text block style with a formatted maintained string. So this will be quite useful if you are formatting any of your documentation of the code with the proper, for example, data type or anything, especially like a JSON type, or you want to have indented line with the proper formatting indenting. That is where this helps. Okay, let's go ahead and if anyone is familiar with Python, actually we have something similar to that in Python too. Let's print this also. It's emp JSON. Now let's run this. Okay, so this was the record, the new one, and the above one is the old one. Okay, so this is about JDK 15 text blocks. Let's see the next feature. Next feature on our list is from JDK 14, record type. Okay, so before you understand record type, in Java there are three types of objects. Usually when you Java is a vast language. Java is very well known for multi-layer application. When you want to move data from one layer to another layer, typically people use something called Vivo, Pojo, or DTO. Um, what are the scripting codes? Okay, let's go a little slow. Vivo is a value object. Pojo is plain old Java object. DTO is data transfer objects. So these are nothing but the Java objects with getter setters. Okay, let's go ahead and create a new class as a called person Pojo. Okay, I am just naming as person Pojo because so that we differentiate that. It's a class. Let's go ahead and create private string full name, private int age, private string email. Then what we have to do is we have to go ahead and create corresponding getters and setters. So luckily we have a editor and we can generate this. Otherwise you have to hand code all that. Okay, we go ahead and generate. So getter and setter. Okay, and generate few more methods equals and hash code. Okay, that is done. Finally, toString. Let's generate toString too. Okay, all three done. Okay, now let's go back to Java feature rundown. Let's call this person Pojo. JDK 14. All right, shout JDK 14 record demo. Okay, so I would like to call person Pojo p Pojo equal to new person Pojo. So in order to get the value, what you have to do, Pojo dot, you need to set the values first. Okay, if you have done a default constructor, you can set in one line. Otherwise we'll say full name percentage 35 dot email address, right? Email dot email at cc.com. This is set email. Done. Okay, short. Okay. Let's go ahead and run this. Okay, we are here. So we got the value. Now, how do you do this with the record type? So typically, when you have a record type, we use a word called, let's do that in here. It's not a public one. Let's say the first thing is a keyword record type. Say record is a keyword. We'll say simple person, right? That's a person Pojo. There's a person record, imagine. So we want to call that as a person record. And rather than record simple, keep it as person. String full name int age string email address. Okay, that's it. So what you have done, you have written the entire class in single line, no implementation. So this record types helps JDK14. So this record types internally, what does it? It does exactly what you have done in the regular Pojo. So this is quite helpful if it is a object is a simple data transfer objects. Let's go ahead and call that. Okay, person p1 equal to new person person 1 say 35 say email address say person dot person at email.com. So fictitious, it can be anything. Okay, short p1 and say that a record type. So I'm putting everything in single together so that all these are on the same place. Maybe in future I'll add all these files into GitHub so that we can reuse. We don't have to hunt for the syntax. We can reuse these files. Let's go ahead and run this. You achieve the same thing with less coding and with less time. So this is about JDK14 record type. Another feature from JDK14 is a null pointer error message, enhanced null pointer error message, right? So in Java, one of the uh, biggest problem is null pointer. It's kind of nightmare, what I can say. Before I show that how it's been improved, let us see how it was in prior to JDK 11. So for that I have used one of the online editor Replit. This is a JDK 11 compiler. So what I'm trying to do is class person with one variable. There are some getters and setters I'm trying to do. For example, in this code, I'm saying person p1 and I initialize the person. I'm trying to get the name. Okay, let's run this. So what you got is null. Where is the null? It doesn't say null, right? It just simply says null, but it is not that much of meaningful for me. For example, it's a simple class you can figure out. Even imagine you have a very bigger class where it says where it has like thousands of lines or hundreds of lines. It's very difficult to trace. So here, what is the possibly what may be the null here? We have a default constructor and we did not call set. That's the issue. Say p1 dot set name one. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, now no error. Now imagine I would like to say that p2. That's the next one. Person p2 equal to new person of new person. So imagine I somehow I missed out this person, say null. The reason is some logic somewhere below I'm going to assign this. Okay, now so absolutely null is a valid value. So maybe while coding you would have missed out somewhere. Now let us see how does this error message says. Okay, it says null pointer exception. That's all. It simply says null pointer exception at the p2 here. Okay, maybe something, but it really doesn't tell what exactly the null pointer, because we know because it's the line is somewhere close. So as I said, if this somewhere this variable is somewhere in the top of the class, you are calling this somewhere in the bottom of the class after 100 lines. How will you navigate? How will you get that? That's a difficult part. Okay, so let us see this how this been improved on JDK 14. Okay, so let's see that in JDK style. So JDK 17, JDK 14, right? Exactly. So let's simulate the same thing. Say we have a Pojo, P Pojo. I don't want to set this guy like okay. Let's comment this. Say dot get. Okay, go ahead and because I did not set this. Ideally, there is a null. It says null. So obviously it will be null because we are trying to say get full name. I wanted to perform some operation on that, then we'll have that issue. Say I wanted to get length of it, the full name length. Because on null, anything you try to perform, that's supposed to be a null pointer exception. Let's see that. Yes, you got a null pointer exception. So if you look at this message, it's really quite useful. For example, cannot invoke string.length because the return value of the this is your entire class and the method name what you are calling. It's a package class and the get full name is null. So it clearly tells what is null. So in this case, if I make this class itself, for example here null. Okay, so ideally I will get here everywhere and that also will tell you the, let's see that too. So the first one said the full name is null. Now it says set a because ppojo is nothing but your object itself is null. So it's very clear. So most of the null pointer nightmare can be solved with this. It's more one of the good feature for the developers for the debugging purpose. It says clearly will say either class is null, object is null, the method is null. This is a good feature. This is about null pointer, enhanced null pointer message. Next feature from our list is JDK's 10 local variable type inference. What do you mean by that? Let's type that. Local, let's put this comment, right? JDK 10 local variable type inference. Okay. So we all know JDK and Java is a strongly typed language. However, by introducing this, it's giving a little more flexibility. Somewhat it mimics something like a loosely typed. However, it's not exactly loosely typed. The type is known at runtime. It'll pick it up from the runtime. Compile time, it just you can use a word called where, then you're done. Okay. So for example, I'll say where I equal to 10. So in this case, what happens? I'm not mentioning the type, and where is not even a keyword. You use a word where, it means you don't have to mention the type. If the type is data type is inferred from the right side assignment. That's the meaning of it. Say I'll say where say name equal to my name. Okay, let's print out I plus my name. Okay, now let's go ahead and say as usual put JDK 10 feature. JDK 10 where. So where is the keyword? It's going to help us not declare the data type of the variable. However, the variable will be inferenced from the right side assignment. Let's go ahead and run this. There are some do's and don'ts with this. I quickly tell you once it shows the output. Okay, you see 10 JDK 10 where it gives my name. So which I'm highlighting, that's the output of it. So what are the do's and don'ts in this? Let's quickly see. For example, once I've decided what type was assigned one time, next time I can't change it. I equal to say something 10. You can't. It's giving a compile time error. The reason is it's a required type int because it's inferred as an integer and you're trying to change. That is not possible. You can't do it. And say name equal to 2. Even this is not possible. The reason is it's required string. So the first time initialization it's inverse. Where exactly it is useful, it's okay. So I can ignore this one. It's quite similar. But the exact use case will be when you have a complex nesting of the structure. Okay. For example, I have a list, then list of strings of I mean strings of map. For example, let me show you. Okay, I'll go ahead and put below this list string names. I auto imported that, so new array list, again I'll say string. Okay, The idea here is I wanted to make a name dictionary which contains a list of strings and map. Okay, so something similar to this. For example, map, it contains a string, then list of strings, and this is the names, and again attributes. It's a nesting of it. Okay, it's a whole. Okay, so in this case, how ideally it would have been done here will be, this is the style. For example, name dictionary, the first one. So in order to achieve this one, I have to do so much of mapping, list of string, map of string, list of string. So this will get more complicated as the nesting gets more complicated. Okay, so in order to avoid this type, what happens is simply I put where. I don't care what was the right side, because simply it will infer whatever how the complex data type. So this is how the where is used for the local type inference, and simplify your um, or type of your objects. Automatically it infers from the local variable declaration. Okay. Next feature from our list is from JDK 9, that's collection initialization. So traditionally what happens, like how the collection, right? Collections like set, map, list. You have to create it, you have to initialize it, and you have to add it. For example, I wanted to do map of string. Okay, so what happens is like this is how I do map string my map 0 hash map string of string. Then how do I add put, and maybe if you use for loop you can add it, but it's a bit difficult. There are multiple lines and there is a lot of other work to be done. Okay, so imagine you have another one called set. Say set my set 0 string string. Okay, say equal to new shit, that is string again. So this also follows the same way, where you have to, this is the initialization part, then you say my set 0 dot add val1, my set 0 dot add val2. You can keep adding. So this is the traditional way of doing it. So in JDK 9 they have used a word called off, and that makes life very easy. You don't really have to struggle anything. You can initialize in one line. Okay, so how do I do that? For example, you go back here, map, put string my map equal to map of, that is it. keyword, then user word key1, because map is nothing but key and value, val1, key2, val2, key3, val3. That's neat, right? Because it's a one line JDK9 style initialization. Okay, the same way it goes for set also. So let's say set string my set of, that's a keyword, guys. So we use a set, then say 1 2, whatever the way you use. So even the list we have same way, list of. The off word really help us to initialize this and creation of the collection objects quick and easy. This is about easy of collection on the JDK9 feature. Okay. So next feature from our list is from JDK8 forEach. This is useful on iterating any of the collection objects such as map or set. So in the traditional way, in order to iterate any of the collection object, it's a little cumbersome. You have to use the iterator and you have to use a while loop. Okay, let's say JDK8 for each, say old style. Okay, so I'll display the old style. So in traditional way, how do we do that? Okay, so iterator, my set dot iterator, its dot next and it dot next. Let's go ahead and run this. While it's running, no style. Okay, so it is displaying three values, but however you written too many lines and it'll get more complicated as you write. Okay, so how do we do the same thing in the new line? It's a single line. We can implement this. First thing, take my set dot for each. So pass the system dot out colon println. Println is a method. System dot out is an object. You pass this object, and on for each, it'll perform what you are passing this. So in this case, what will happen is it'll print the value. Okay. So let's run this too. Ideally, you should find one more new style with 1 2 3 or 1 1, whatever the value. Yeah, new style. So the benefit what you see is a one single line. It's an easy and clean code and easy to maintain. This one is not that. It's a bit cumbersome and too much of code. Okay, so this is about iteratable for each on JDK8. Okay. Next feature is from JDK8. This is on default and static method on interface, right? Say default and static methods on interfaces. So the meaning of interface is purely interface. For example, when you declare any method, ideally it should not have any body for that. So it's supposed to be implemented by whichever the class it's implementing it. Okay. So when is a requirement which arises that it has to be a default and static. Default is something like you have a you have interface, you have some of the methods are common. You really don't have to all those implementations, all of the implementing class have to be implemented. That's one. Other one is, for example, you wanted to provide the update or the some of the AP which you wanted to see. So this will not break the code. For example, I wanted to introduce something which not it will not interfere with the existing implementation. So what will happen is you provide default implementation. You are introducing any new feature. So what you have done is you, without affecting the existing implementations, you go ahead and introduce the new method with the default. So automatically it will be reflected across all the implementations. So you're not breaking any of the code. That's a default. And you have another way of doing is a static, and that's these two are the new addition on interface. Let us see how do we do that. In order to do that, let's create an interface shape. Go to the top of the class. Um, say interface. Okay, so I would like to say interface shape. Okay. I wanted to have here public void draw. Now I will implement a class called square, and say class square implements shape. So public void draw. So I am implementing the method draw implementation from square. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's simulate the scenario of a non-breaking implementation of the interface. Let's go down. Okay, say square sq equal to new square. Say sq dot draw. Okay, let's go ahead and run this code. So you will find this draw implementation. So let's put our style header right short certificate default and static of interface static methods of interface. Okay, now this is done. So so imagine the scenario. I wanted to introduce a new method without affecting this. For example, if I introduce another method, this will break. Say public void draw one. So you can immediately see that it is saying that this have to all of the implementation have to implement this. So rather than that, what I do, I provide the implementation. That's one, right? You say default. Okay, draw one from interface default. Now, so even though I introduce a new method, however, my implementation is not affected. Not affected, so that it continue to work. So it is quite useful in production. So how do we call this? Go down. You call with another method sq1 dot sq dot draw one. So you don't. This is provided with default method. Okay. While it's doing, you create another method called static with static qualifier, so that the person anybody wants to use some of the method, something like info method. Okay, say public static info, public static void info. Okay, say base interface info. Let's run this. You should find this method. You have not called it, right? So let's go ahead and call this is on interface itself. The static method, the way of calling static is you don't really have to implement that. For example, I'll go up here, say shape dot info static method. Okay, you should see this with the base info, base interface info. So that's all about JDK 8. So these are the total all the rolled up feature from JDK 17 till JDK 8. So please subscribe to my channel, please comment and like it, share it, and please follow me on Twitter. Thank you. Let's see you in the next video series. Okay.